This crumbling brick asylum stands at the edge of a vast and treacherous swamp, hidden away from the rest of civilization, forgotten by God and man. It's a place where sanity goes to die and nightmares are given life. My name is Name. I work the night shift here, staring into the abyss of madness, tending to the broken and tormented souls left behind by society. My colleagues call me strange for taking my job so seriously. They say I spend too much time talking with our patients, listening to their stories, offering what little comfort I can before they're gone, lost to the darkness forever. But I couldn't do anything else even if I wanted to. It's in my blood. And when you feel something so strongly, you don't need a reason, you just do. What draws me most to this forsaken place is the rumors, legends whispered by the wind that slither through these decaying halls. The legends of this place speak of unspeakable horrors performed within these four walls, and it seems that every day I uncover more of its gruesome history. But tonight's discovery was different, more personal, more terrifying than any before. I was alone on the night shift as usual, tending to our most disturbed patients when I heard a sound I thought I'd never hear again, a sweet, innocent sound, a baby's cry. Where could it be coming from? This part of the asylum has been abandoned for decades, blocked off from the rest of the building by an iron gate. Behind that gate is the old maternal ward, sealed away from the world since 1967. It's against the rules to go in there, but curiosity got the better of me. Besides, the door was unlocked. I pushed open the heavy oak doors and stepped inside. Dust motes danced in the moonlight streaming through grimy window panes, illuminating rows upon rows of empty cots. The room was silent now, but the baby's cry still echoed in my ears. Was I going mad, hearing things that weren't there? I tried to convince myself I was imagining it, but then I saw it, a single white tile on the floor, glinting in the moonlight like a freshly turned grave marker. I approached it cautiously, my heart pounding in my chest. As I drew closer, I realized it was a hospital record, the kind that used to hang outside a patient's cell, listing their name, age, and the date they entered the asylum. Except instead of a name, it said baby girl. And instead of an entry date, it said never. What was this child's story? What had brought her to this god-forsaken place? I searched the room, desperate for answers, but found nothing except for more empty cribs and the faint smell of stale milk and decay. Then I noticed something else, a small hole in the wall above the cots, big enough for a small child to crawl through. It was covered in grime, but it was clear that whatever was on the other side was important because someone had taken great pains to hide it. Whoever did this must have been terrified. Why? Driven by an insatiable curiosity, I went through the opening, emerging into a dark, narrow passageway. The air grew colder as I moved deeper inside, and a low, mournful hum filled my ears. The walls were bare except for one thing, hundreds of faded letters that spelled out the lyrics of a chilling nursery rhyme. Lullaby and good night. Sleep tight, little one, till morning light. Turn the key, don't delay. Lock the door, come what may. As I made my way down the passage, I felt a growing sense of dread. The further I went, the stronger the feeling became. This place was like a second skin to me, yet I had never sensed anything like this before. Fear, sadness, despair, anger, all kinds of dark emotions. They poured out of the walls and seeped into my bones. It was as if the very building itself was trying to warn me. The passage opened up into a large circular room, and in the center sat a rusted cradle. It swayed gently back and forth, though there was no one there. Suddenly, the air grew cold and a low humming filled the room. The cradle began to rock faster, and the sound of a woman's voice echoed through the room. It was singing the same nursery rhyme I had read on the wall. Her voice was beautiful yet terrifying, and it seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. I didn't want to stick around to find out who was singing, so I turned to leave. But as I did, I caught sight of something in the corner of my eye. On the floor lay another tile, or rather, it was shaped like a tile. As I approached, I saw that it was actually a piece of the floor that had been pried loose, revealing a dark stain underneath. It looked like a fresh grave marker. And then I heard it again, that innocent sound cutting through the gloom, a baby's cry. Who was singing the lullaby and why? And whose child was crying in the darkness? I knew I should leave, but I couldn't help myself. I had to know the truth. Suddenly, the singing stopped and the rocking cradle fell silent. I took a deep breath and called out into the darkness. Are you there? Is anyone there? Silence. Then I heard it again, the baby's cry. It was close, right behind me. I spun around, but saw nothing. Then I looked down and saw the floor tile I had found earlier. It was moving, shifting like sand in an hourglass. Then it rose up and out, becoming a face. A beautiful young woman stared up at me with wide, innocent eyes. She was dressed in clothes from the early 20th century, her hair long and flowing like a dark waterfall. And in her arms, she held a swaddled bundle. With a start, I recognized the clothes. They were the same as those worn by the woman in the painting I had seen earlier. She opens her mouth to speak, but all that comes out is a whisper. "Can't you hear it? Can't you hear them?" Then she shrieks, throwing her head back and letting out a primal scream that echoes through the room. I flinch at the sound, but it's not fear that I feel, it's sorrow. I understand now. This isn't a monster, just a mother, desperate and afraid. Her eyes lock onto mine and she speaks, her voice weak and distant. "Please, you have to help us." Then she collapses to her knees, the floor tile cracking and crumbling around her. I rush to her side, but as I reach out to touch her, she vanishes, along with the baby. In her hand, I see a flash of silver and catch the name of the lullaby. This song is my curse and my only hope. For many years, I searched for answers, trying to piece together the mystery of the lullaby and the identity of the ghostly mother and child. I pored over the asylum's records, but found nothing. It was like they had vanished into thin air. But just when I was about to give up hope, I stumbled upon something. Hidden away in the basement was a locked metal box filled with documents detailing the history of the asylum and its patients. Among them was a file that contained the key to everything. It told the story of a young woman named Elizabeth, who had been brought to the asylum after giving birth to a baby girl. Elizabeth had been lobotomized and most of her memories, including those of her childhood, had been wiped clean. All she knew was that she had a daughter, but she had no memory of giving birth or even knowing what a child was. The staff at the asylum were cruel and sadistic and they feared Elizabeth's child. They believed that the baby was possessed by a demon and that it was bringing bad luck to the asylum. They tried everything to keep Elizabeth away from her daughter, but she was determined to find her. She escaped from the asylum and wandered the nearby woods until she came across a farmhouse. There she met a kind family, who took her in and cared for her. For a while, Elizabeth was happy, but her past soon caught up with her. The staff at the asylum found her and brought her back, locking her away in the maternal ward and forbidding her from ever seeing her daughter again. Elizabeth never gave up hope, though. Every night she would sing the same lullaby to the wall, hoping that her daughter would hear her and come to her. But the sadistic nurse who had been assigned to watch over Elizabeth feared the child's cry and did everything she could to prevent Elizabeth from seeing her, including killing her. That's when the demon entered the picture. It was bound to the asylum and feasted on the misery of those within its walls. When it heard Elizabeth's song, it took pity on her and offered her a deal. If she would allow the demon to possess her body, it would make sure that her daughter would always be safe. Elizabeth agreed and the demon granted her wish. It used her body to haunt the asylum, singing the same lullaby and driving the staff insane. But the demon's power was waning and it needed a new host. That's where I come in. I'm Elizabeth's daughter. The demon chose me because I had a strong connection to my mother. It used my subconscious desires to reunite with her to manipulate me into coming to the asylum. Once I arrived, it used my empathy to make me feel her pain and suffering. It showed me the truth of what happened to her and gave me the chance to set things right. I finished the song, my voice echoing through the empty halls. Then I turned and walked away, leaving the demon to fade into oblivion. Now, the asylum is finally at peace.